try this again. All right, so I did a lot of, how does it, damn, it might knock me off again because of no access to permissions. So we'll just see what happens. I just did a re-update, but we'll see what happens. I don't know how to fix that, but that's okay. All right, well, anyways, I'm going to try again and we'll just see what happens. I hope it doesn't knock me off. Okay, so I'm going to kind of just test it out before I get into it. Please don't knock me off. Please don't knock me off. Hey, Lori. Okay, so let's just pray that it doesn't knock me off again. But let's see if we can figure this out. Because I just did an update and oh my Lord. But okay, so the whole thing with socialism is people projecting their weaknesses and they want to bring you down to their level, and capitalism is where someone wants to bring you up to their level. So that's why you want a Republican president, because you want him to project strength. Even if the country isn't super, super strong yet, people are going to have to rise up to that. You put somebody in charge that is weak and degrading and is catering to all the social issues, you're going to project a weakness out there in the world. And that's not the kind of persona that we want to project out there. No different than when you're in a household and you're projecting weaknesses to everybody, they're going to know that you have a very weak household. Okay? So socialism is basically catering to the lowest common denominator. Socialism is catering to the lowest common denominator, and it's projecting weaknesses. And what it does is that people then get caught up in the remedies and the drugs, and that then stagnates any innovation. So then you're only left to take pieces of the pie, but not really take the whole pie to yourself. You're relegated to like maybe 0.5%, 1%, and if you're lucky, you get 5%, if you're lucky. Okay? And so socialism out of California, the media is socialist, except for like Fox News. All of the media, when you think about it, is basically socialist / communist. Just like Dr. Phil. Okay, Dr. Phil comes from a socialist healthcare. So he is going to be like a North Korea. I watched videos on North Korea, and where the dear leader is revered as if he was a god, and the people only know of one way of doing things. And if you talk smack against the government, you get shot in front of a firing line. Well, that's exactly what our media does to people with any new line of thought. Any kind of innovation that's being projected, guess what? Guess who the socialists are? It's the media, the ones that will then tear down a different line of thought. They don't listen to law. When the law goes in and vets somebody out to make sure they're following the right laws as far as the laws of life, it's not antibiotic, it's probiotic type of thing, and want me to substantiate with science, which I did to my OAG. So that was all taken care of. But yet, Dr. Phil and everybody else out there wants to go and squelch and abuse someone. So that's why you see abuse out there. Why you see violence, abuse, you see infanticide, homicide, domestic violence, child abuse, incest, rape. That stems from a society catering to the lowest common denominator. They're projecting a socialist perspective to where nobody is going to rise above their station. And if they do, you're freaking lucky. They'll give you a certain amount of rope to hang yourself type of thing. Because at some point, you're going to be aging and degrading, and you're going to have to go and trigger the system to go and take care of all your needs. But we don't want people out there that don't like us to come in here and completely tear us down and hurt us. So we then have a type of government that projects strength, builds up the military, you know, really forces people to rise up instead of pull them down. That's why I can't see any Democrat as a president. No, we had Clinton and we had Obama. Okay, fine. But when you look at who right now in the Democrat, there's nobody there. Even Biden, I mean, if I was a Democrat, there was no one I would pick. But you have to understand that that's a socialist, a mostly socialist economy with a socialist media, with a socialist healthcare system. And homeopathics, naturopathics, allopathics are all part of socialist medicine, not socialized because it's not being paid for by the government, but it's a type of medicine or remedies and changing of diets that keeps people stagnated. It keeps them down at a specific level so they can never rise above their station. And there are some that will be miraculous and will be able to beat the odds, but they're very few and far between. And so the Jilly Juice now gives everybody the opportunity to rise above their station, to give them ability instead of lack of ability. Because we live in a type of North Korean mentality that we're not shooting people for their thought process, but the media is like putting people on firing lines. Dr. Phil put me on a firing line. I didn't know that's how he was going to characterize me, but that is what we deal with. And so you see all the haters, all the angry faces and all the people laughing. Those are the socialist people projecting their weaknesses that can't stand to see somebody rise above their station, have a new line of thought. I come from a socialist household. Okay? Either I go to college or there is nothing. I couldn't go off and be like, okay, I'm going to go off and do whatever I got to do and find my way. Oh no, it's either you go to college or you work at McDonald's. Okay? So the glass ceiling was already set for me from day one, but they gave me a chance. I'm not going to knock that. But when you come from that kind of world where you only have a few choices and that's it, that's when people want to break out from the oppressiveness. And that's why you see abuse in households, because you have a very socialist dictator in the family that will not allow any other, any kind of line of thought, challenging this, challenging that, whatever. And then people will try to break out. And then guess what? The hammer comes down. And you see that in relationships. You see that in families. You see that out there in the media. Just so everybody that hates me, so you go to my business page and you see all the angry faces and the mean faces, those are the socialists that abhor innovation. They would rather squelch innovation because they're projecting their socialist weaknesses. And that's why they hate Trump, because Trump projects strength that these people do not have. So this is how you have to understand the world out there. So why people don't like you? Because it's the jealousy, the fact that you project strength that they don't have. So anytime that you don't like someone or you feel threatened by somebody, it's because you lack the strength that they are exuding. And now you see it on a very global level as far as mixed economies. Okay? So when you have a mixed economy of socialist versus capitalist, Republican versus Democrat, you have the strong versus the weak. The Democrats will pull you down to their level. The Republicans will try to pull you up if you can. And if you can't, then you're going to be pissed off and then you're going to blame them because they're successful and you're not. And that's the world I came from. Even though they gave me life and I appreciate that, but that was what was squelched in my household with only a few things. And if I went out of line, the hammer came down. And that's what happens in families. And that's why kids run away. That's why kids act out, because they're in a socialist household where it's like you cannot have any independent thought. And if you do, it's going to be suppressed. Okay? And so I'm going to bring it to the most extreme. North Korea, Dr. Phil, and socialism and socialist medicine. And then you look at why abuse happens, domestic violence, infanticide, homicide, all the different sides. And then why you have social programs to cater to all of those issues and disabilities and lack of abilities and all of this stuff. And then you have people leeching from the system on an indefinite basis, not pulling themselves by their bootstraps because they don't have the ability, because modern medicine has squelched their innovation. Yes, we give people life, but we give them a very partial life. That's what the vaccine industry does. So even though they're giving people life and you have now the ability to figure out what to do with it, they don't really give you the answer because it's about pain mitigation. So in a lot of ways, America is a segment of socialism, even though they're on, capitalistic principles, but it's a mixed economy. But the weaker the population becomes, the more socialistic it becomes. And then people are going to pull you down to their level. And you saw that when I rolled this out, when I went on Dr. Phil, when I went out in the media interviewing me and trying to just question and denigrate and just completely just totally try to destroy my spirit. And that is the mentality of a socialist, a mostly socialist economy. And then you teeter on being a North Korea. No, we're not going to be on firing squads. But I'll tell you what, Dr. Phil was like a firing squad. BuzzFeed, Newsweek, Pathos, Daily Mail, all of those writers are socialists. And guess what? They take from this system. They leech from this system. And then they capitalize on parasiting off of other people by talking smack. Jeff Holiday is a socialist. Because what do? They take somebody's reputation and twist it, and then they feed off of it. And they essentially cannibalize their own people. So Newsfeed, Daily Mail, Pelosi, BuzzFeed, Pathos, all of those writers are socialists that cannibalize their own until there's nothing left. And so that's how you have to see how all this works. And so that's why you have to do the J juice. That's why I want to vote Republican, because they embody the very spirit of J juice. No matter how much you think the politics suck. Yes, you have imbalanced people in Congress, in executive office, okay? And you have imbalanced people in your society, in your different local government. And now it's up to you to change it and actually exemplify the spirit of what Republican is. If we can get everybody Republican in America, we would have a very strong freaking nation. But we have so many people dying and so many people triggering cancer, disease, and chronic illness and procreating on weak bodies, creating kids who are so imbalanced and so aggressive or so submissive. Now you have the predator and prey scenario, which is going to cater to the socialists, which is going to cater to then sinking to the, catering to the lowest common denominator, and people are going to be pulling you down to their level instead of having you rise up, and it's a mess. But you have to understand what you're dealing with first before you feel like you can do something about it. And so that's why you have to exemplify strength, and that comes from within. You don't get strength out there. You get strength from within, and then you project that, and then you exemplify that, and people are going to want to live. Even those that are socialists that feel like there's nothing else and they want to pull everybody down to their level, you show them that yes, you can live, and maybe they might rise up if they have the capacity. But some don't have that capacity, the cognitive level or the strength. And then it comes out in the laughing, the mocking, the hatred, the bully articles, the firing squad, because dictators are the most weakest. Those that abuse people and oppress people are very, very weak. So the only way they can show their strength is if they actually try to destroy you. And so that's why you have to be strong. And you have to know why you're doing the JJs, and you have to stay on it. Because who knows what you can create once you actually get clear in your body, mind, and spirit, literally. Okay? It's not something you fuck around with. This isn't, no, because you're going to end up like your parents. You're going to end up like your neighborhood. People are dying and dropping like flies all around you. Look at Pelosi. She's a representation of her constituents. Alcohol, demonization, tearing down America from within. And then it bleeds into the college system, and then you have kids are learning left-wing politics, completely questioning American principles. That's what's really scary, is we have kids in college being brainwashed by these propaganda professors that are causing them to undermine their own country. Okay? So I'm just giving you guys a heads up of how it really truly works. No, we don't have literal firing squads. We have figurative firing squads. And then we have socialist weak people projecting their imbalances onto everybody, don't like anyone rising above or innovative. And even though I've been vetted out by my own government and from the FBI, that still isn't good enough, because what they really don't like is the fact that they can't do this. They didn't think of it. And it's threatening their livelihood. Because remember, the allopathic MLMers, the homeopathic, the naturopathics rely on sick people. They don't have a business without sick people. Once you get well, there goes the money. I haven't been to my health food store in probably over a year. They don't get my money anymore. Guess what? I shop at Walmart. I don't care. I'm not going to take part in the Democrat principles at all. Here's the thing. If you can perform and you can do, you do it. If you can't, then you need to get yourself healthier. And if you can't get yourself healthier, then I don't know what else to say. I can't do it for you. Nobody can do it for you. But if you've been introduced to my information, then you should be doing the J juice, to where you don't have to feel like you have to then subscribe to Democrat principles, socialist principles. But that's why we have socialist medicine. It's because it is a type of control. And the anti-vaxxers know this, but they have no other recourse. Either they die at childbirth, the kids, or they get some kind of stay of execution. Now they're a quarter of what they should be if they were really healthy and have the right chemistry. And then the government and your family is going to then capitalize on the strengths, or it's a crapshoot. The kid will either fall in line and become a cog in the wheel of the state, or they completely rebel and they become a criminal, because those are the only two choices. There really is no future for them, some of these kids, because they don't see what they could do. Go on YouTube and be an ass. And that's what you're seeing, is kids and seeing that there's no future except for YouTube. Okay, be an astronaut. Okay, well, what's the point? Okay, their body, mind, and spirit is not aligned, and they don't see really a future in that. We've already now figured out we don't need to cure cancer. We can reverse it with J juice. So what else is there? Putting together another conglomeration of vitamins to kill sepsis that doesn't work. You saw that article from NPR. Scientists put together all these vitamins, and which are hormones, thinking that's going to kill sepsis. It doesn't work, because people already have hormonal imbalances. Putting together a condensed form of minerals and fatty acids and amino acids and prohormones and minerals, and compartmentalize that and then throw it at a body that already has imbalances is going to do nothing. And that's why that experiment did not work on a sepsis patient. When you have so many antibodies, it's because you have imbalances in all four of those areas, and you have a weak body. And so, yeah, there is really nothing for these kids to aspire to, when now it's kind of already been done. So now what do you got to do? You got to get your body fixed so you can be innovative and thinking of something different, aside from regurgitating the same shit over there in the socialist medicine, where there is no innovation of thought. That's why I'm not invited to any of these symposiums in the medical world, because I'm not regurgitating the same crap. That's why you almost have to be kind of outside, but within, and find a way to transition correctly an innovative thought with the system. So that's why Republican matches J juice, and there is that connection to the system. That's what I've linked. J juice Republican, but it's not like the socialist medicine like freaking Dr. Phil in North Korea. But there's the link. And that's how we have to capitalize J juice and justify a Republican ideology, even if the person doesn't exactly exemplify 100%, but Trump is damn close to it. He, I would say, is the best president. And I back him 1,000%. And I urge all of you to register as a Republican, vote for Trump, because that is truly the Jilly Juice way. Because you're not going to have some utopian society where we're all on clouds and spaceships and not have to deal with all these weirdos out there in other countries that don't like us. That's not a reality. You're not going to be on little floaty ships playing, unicorns and whatever. Some of you are living in that world where you're like, okay, I'm going to be all sequestered in my little beautiful place and not look at the reality, not vote, not take any interest. But now you see why it is that we have to interweave this into the mainstream. But I had to find an opening that was legit, not that I was just being a follower. I had to substantiate why it is that JJ is like Republican, but I'm still not going to subscribe to the socialist medicine. And this is how we make a kink in the socialist armor out there. And I need all your help. Okay? So register as a Republican. Vote Trump. Do the J-Juice. Exemplify. And show people what an actual healthy J-Juicer is. Okay? You're not into the anti-vax activism. You understand why these things exist, but you choose not to do it if you can back it up. And why? Because you're doing J-Juice. But don't be an anti-vax, anti-big pharma if you're not giving people another option to support their choices. Okay? All right. Talk to you later. Bye.